Today we're going to be looking at a Gholdengo EX Palkia VSTAR archetype. The deck managed to achieve a top 4 placement at the recent Kyoto Champions League, a huge tournament over in Japan, and despite not really hitting the ground running in the Paradox Rift format, it seems like this new approach might be the best way of playing the archetype. Firstly, let's go over the basics. Gholdengo EX is a 260 hit points stage 1 EX Pokemon with the coin bonus ability. Once during your turn, you may draw a card. However, if it's in the active position, you get to draw an additional card. The idea of the deck is going to be getting as many Gholdengo EX into play as possible, because getting these bonus coins can really allow us to grow a large hand size. That synergizes really nicely actually with its attack. For one single Metal Energy, Make It Rain deals 50 times the number of basic energy cards you discard from your hand. That means the objective is going to be thinning our deck of these energy and also recovering them from the discard pile for huge damage output plays, allowing us to one-hit KO VMAX and Stage 2 EX Pokemon for just 1 energy. Because cycling energy is such an integral part of this archetype, Radiant Greninja naturally slots into this deck as a fantastic inclusion. It allows us to not only cycle more cards through the game via using concealed cards over and over again, but also allows us to bank energy in that discard pile to activate our superior and regular energy retrievals earlier on in the game to become live threats for us to reach onto high hit point Pokemon. However, because we are playing a Palkia V-Star package, the Radiant Greninja also becomes a single prize attacking option. That Moonlight Shuriken deals 90 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, costing 2 water and a colorless. Palkia V-Star is going to try and help in that endeavour with its V-Star Power Star Portal. We can power up Radiant Greninja all in one turn to have this flexible 2-prize attacking option from a single prize Pokemon. We can also use Palkia V-Star as an attacker in its own right. The Subspace Swell is pretty efficient, especially when you consider the Star Portal can already power itself up. Subspace Swell deals 60 plus 20 more for each bench Pokemon. That counts both yours and your opponent's, so we can max out here at 260, providing both benches are full. Even though Gholdengo EX can far exceed this damage output, the Palkia is much lower maintenance, so it can be a fantastic early game attacking option whilst we build our board state with Gholdengo EX in the back. Naturally weaving in this water package makes Irida a very reasonable supporter inclusion in the deck as well. Irida's fantastic at cherry picking early game item cards like Battle VIP Pass, obviously helping us get Greninja into the mix early is fantastic to initiate our draw, and Irida can also be fantastic throughout the mid game, helping us grab Cross Switchers as well as our energy recovery cards. So it's a fantastic fit in the list. Another reason why we really like having Irida in this 60 is the 1-1 line of Milotic. Dewgard offers the perfect defense against Iono, Roxanne, and even Avery, some really threatening supporters for a deck such as this that requires really large hand sizes to maintain its chain of attacks with Gholdengo for meaningful damage. So that's why, even though it looks a little bit strange to combine Palkia and Gholdengo, their synergy isn't necessarily obvious, they actually combine really nicely here. With the basics covered, let's move on to the deck list. So we're playing a really thick line of the Gholdengo, of course. It's our main attacker and it's our draw engine. It's an integral part to the deck, and because we can cherry pick pieces of our water package so easily with the Iridas and our Ball Search cards, we only really want to have thin lines of our Pokemon. That's because we're playing 4 copies of PokéStop. We're really trying to have really high ratios of items in this deck, so we make the most out of this Stadium card. We not only want to slam the PokéStop early to grab these item cards, but it's also a great way for us to get water and metal energy in the discard pile to activate our Star Portal as well as these superior energy retrievals as early as possible. At the same time, playing such a high Stadium count as well as the 4 copies of Worker in this deck list is the best defense we can have against Path to the Peak. Obviously, Gholdengo EX is a rulebox Pokemon, as is Greninja, as is Palkia. The deck is really reliant on these rule box abilities. Unlocking ourselves from Path to the Peak is going to be integral throughout the game. Because we're already playing Irida and such a high PokéStop package, it makes sense to have Cross Switcher in the deck list over a higher count of Boss's Orders. It can at times even give us additional card draw via extra bonus coin draw power by moving one Gholdengo from the bench into the active position, but in general it seems to be the smarter choice over a high supporter count when we are going to be slamming that PokéStop throughout the game. Looking at the matchup spread for Gholdengo Palkia then, it's still a fairly new archetype, so in the online space we don't have a huge amount of data to go off of. but this is the first impression that the data is coming up with. The toughest matchups being the Mew matchups, Snorlax and Giratina. Giratina being that big path deck, Snorlax being that frustrating block archetype where we don't play a huge amount of switch cards in the deck list, and Mew often also plays a decent amount of hand disruptors and path in their own deck list, as well as a ton of consistency and aggression on their end. Other than those matchups, it seems actually pretty reasonable for Gholdengo Palkia to remain in the format. Even though there are some scary matchups in the field, there certainly can be opportunities for this deck to have another deep run in the future. Because Gholdengo is weak seemingly to Mew as well as Snorlax, it may make sense to add in a Fettered in Misfortune Spiritomb, shutting off the Genesec's draw power, as well as shutting off Rotom V's draw power in the Snorlax archetypes, trying to slow down their engine, give them less options throughout the game. But I actually lean more towards the cancelling clone. It gives you an easy way through Mimikyu against Snorlax, as well as being another way to shut off the block ability. But it is just another way that you can lean into your Greninja. The single prize attacking threat being able to uptrade is still one of the linchpins of this archetype, so having that option, even under Manaphy protection, is a great play to have in the deck. Typically I want to take a less is more approach with Gholdengo Palkia because it is so locked into its ratios and having high counts of things so you're not whiffing as you go through the game. So I wouldn't want to be making huge adjustments to the deck, more so these 1 or 2 card changes. Let me know your thoughts on Gholdengo Palkia down below and enjoy the games. If you're looking for PTCG live codes, make sure you check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using that code OmniPoke. So it looks like we're going first in this game 1. We have a pretty decent start actually with Gimmighoul VIP Greninja, so looking pretty solid. We should be able to get a few basics developed, and of course that is our draw engine as well as our crucial attackers, so it is really important to have a pretty decent start with this deck. And another VIP coming to the top of the hand, and the opponent starts Luminion as well, so this is looking great for us. We have our Palk V and VSTAR in the deck, so I will try and threaten the early Palkia. Debating Gimmighoul and Feebas, because that's going to be basically our complete board here. We can get an early PokéStop down. We do have 3 misses, which is a shame. But the main reason to go for the PokéStop there, obviously we want to hit item cards, but also just getting any water in the discard pile early would be huge. But the opponent has got their Manaphy developed straight away, recognizing the threat, and it looks like we're up against Charizard, which is no surprise. It's pretty popular on the ladder right now. They have Arven VIP and Forest Seal Stones, so pretty much everything going their way right now, to be honest with you. We see Forest on to Rotom and the instant charge. The only downside for them is that they do have a 2-prizer in the active. So if I can work towards a KO with Gholdengo here, we should be looking pretty good. And we do finally get rid of some water energy, which might help us along our way here. 3 in the discard pile. I was able to do the nice combo of PokéStop Worker, then play another PokéStop, which is great. And now we can get some coin bonuses in. What do we have rocking with here? With the Superior, I think we should actually be able to get there, because I was able to discard enough water energy with our second PokéStop, I believe. So we are actually able to have the easy reach to 200 here, which is kind of nice. Really great to kick off the prize race against Charizard. We have that 260 hit point threshold, which is really frustrating for them because obviously they're capped at 240 right now. So it's going to be difficult for them to actually weave in some prize cards unless they go for a Palkia KO this turn. That would be their best method of taking a 2-prize KO. They have got the early Candy Pidgeot. They do have Forest Seal Stone as well as Quick Search, so they should be able to sculpt something pretty powerful together. Maybe some counter-catcher shenanigans in here as well. Some of the key issues for us now that we're like ahead on prizes, the only thing we have to worry about is that I did mill Milotic, so getting the Super Rod back into the mix to protect the board a little bit more with Milotic is going to be pretty important. But in terms of the race, we're in really good shape, honestly. I imagine, yeah, the Palkia is going to be their target. They go for Iono, but they can still counter-catch, and obviously they have their Forest Hill Stone, so that's looking pretty solid for us. We do go down to a 4-card hand, but obviously we're not staring down any path anytime soon, as we do see the expected counter-catch play here. And can they at least bounce Stadium? That would be big. No, they're going to keep PokéStop available for us. So we already have Energy Retrieval. We already have Energy in hand, so that's already working towards quite a few energy to get through this Charizard here. Oh, wow. Couple big cards from coin bonus there. That now gets us to 7, which is the 350 threshold that we need. We unfortunately PokéStop away a couple additional supporter cards, But hey-ho, we have the Rod plus Ultra Ball combo here, so I can develop Milotic as well, which I think is pretty important, so that we can prevent our opponent from reducing this hand size any further. I can even get a Greninja play in here as well. I was looking really just for fodder here. We end up hitting Vessel Energy, so it kind of works out. We've got a couple cards deeper in the deck, but we are able to make it rain once again for the 350, which is pretty epic, knowing now that we're going to get to hold a pretty strong 4-card hand. Cross Switcher is a big piece. We have double retrieval now from the top deck, so... Oh, sorry, from the prize cards, so we're looking in really, really good shape. If the opponent had access to it, their best play would be a Radiant Charizard, but they're just so much less popular in more recent lists, with Robin Schultz and Azul both having good top 8 placements without the inclusion. So if they're just coming in with a multi-prizer, that's great news for Gholdengo. We just need basically fodder for the superior energy retrievals that are in hand. So that's all that's required right now, as we do see the retreat into the Charizard EX and just the Burning Darkness for 300 damage. It should be a pretty routine way of going make it rain for game here. We get 2 bonus coin cards, so that's going to be perfect fodder for our superior. The energy retrieval doesn't really matter. Yeah, we just have so much here that we can burn through to swing for plenty of damage. I don't know really why I'm counting. Maybe I'm trying to get as much damage on the board as possible, but yeah, a really nice win against Charizard. Obviously made easier by the fact that they had a 2-prize start against us, but we got to see how Milotic can safeguard our hand, whereas otherwise we could have been under an awkward Iono situation. We were able to pretty much just secure win immediately, which is fantastic. And I do think, especially if Radzard is no longer going to be a staple in Zard, that the matchup is pretty decent actually for Gholdengo, honestly. The hit points just line up quite nicely. We're up against Miraidon in this next game. We have the Palkia start, which is not ideal, not a card that we'd want to use too much in this matchup. Greninja's not all that powerful, and obviously our water types are weak to lightning, which can give them easy KOs, as they are going to get the Raikou into the mix early. We are at least able to VIP pass and get a couple gimmies out. We do have Ultra Ball in hand as well, but not too much to work with, honestly. So we are just going to have to pass things over. It's really not a situation that we really wanted to be in, as the opponent is going to Peony, go down to the 0-card hand with the Mew and the Generator. Uh-oh, Amp you very much looking pretty scary now. If they could get more energy onto that Iron Hands, the Palkia could go down for 3 prize cards. Fortunately not. That's going to be enough for them and just take the 2 prizes on us. But yeah, still in a pretty tough situation. We're going to Ultra Ball away Palkia and Milotic, and we're going to get 2 bonus coin cards here. The one good thing for us is that, again, just the hit points of Gholdengo can make life quite difficult for our opponents. We have Cross Switcher. There's not much going on. I can make it rain just for 50. Try and open up some plays with energy retrievals and such. I think it's okay to make this, just to give us 50 closer to this Raikou. But yeah, it's not looking ideal. The concern is, yeah, this Raichu can come in and blow us up. And that certainly is going to be what's happening here. Dynamic Spark. This was the main reason I wanted to get the 50 damage in, actually, was to get 2 energy in the discard pile now for the energy retrieval. Irida off the top is going to be helpful. If I have Vessel, I can KO this Raichu. We can grab the Feebas and, yeah, Vessel. Looks like Letter of Encouragement was prized, actually, so I have to go Vessel. Letter of Encouragement was the stronger play there. We have Feebas, we have Retrieval. If I just take more energy off this board, yeah, this 50 damage on the Raikou is actually going to be pretty helpful here, I think. Where I can push through this one Raikou, and there may not even be anything coming back next turn, honestly. They didn't formulate a Flaffy, and they have spent a few of their generators now, so that's kind of our only hope. This would have been a lot more of a sturdy play had I been able to weave in another Gimmighoul on this turn. I'd feel a lot more comfortable about my position, as we do see a Peony. And yeah, they're just going to pull out more generators. The last 2 generators, actually. They do hit off one, and they actually whiff on the second one, which is actually pretty insane. Okay, wow, they have to retreat into Mareep, so this is a turn I was not expecting to have, really. I was expecting to get punched and to be under a lot of pressure. I would have tried to, again, like, wipe out all the energy and then just say that from, like, Mareep and whatnot, or, like, make them have the Flaffy or whatever, but this is working out great for us, actually. I get to take away Stadium, which is nice. They've gone through all of their generators, so we know that once I take out this Mareep, they're down to an attachment per turn. So even if this Miraidon comes in and swings on the Gholdengo, I can make more and then just hunt down the energy for the remainder of the game, actually. So I think from the stage, we're actually in a really, really good position, provided I can KO this Mareep, which we can with Superior here. So all it took was one turn of breathing space, and we're back into the mix thanks to our hit points, essentially. Maybe an argument to attaching again onto Gholdengo, so if I tank a hit with something, I can retreat and use another Gholdengo. But we know they're limited to an attachment per turn, so that's fine, actually. We do see the tandem unit now. Zapdos comes in. We do see a Judge. And we get into some more Superiors, so again, looking pretty good, honestly. They can vacuum, so they can restart. They're going to come in with the Photon Blaster, but we know there's no energy coming back off this board, so once again, yeah, all the generators down, no Flaffy in sight, so we can quite freely just push through this Miraidon, and then we have boss game the following turn, so it's going to slam a PokéStop. We only have 3 energy in the discard pile, but that's actually enough with the 2 in hand. We're going to go for the Ultra Ball, knowing that I can get the energy back, essentially, from the Superior. And I get some fodder now, with the Heavy Ball able to get pitched. I can get rid of Boss or Cross Switcher, I think, pretty comfortably, knowing that I have enough energy just to push through anything next turn. We end up going through the boss, and then we can hit the 250. And the opponent literally can't launch any attacks against us. They're out of acceleration. The only thing they could do is Zeraora KO us, but I just took them a Miraidon off the board, so they can't search out Zeraora. That'd be the only thing that would be like our undoing, but these Peony builds play double Mew EX much more often now, so like it's a play I can make because we know the build we're up against. If this was a Parthy base build, we can't really make that play. We probably would have had to have retreated a Gholdengo into another one. As it stands, it's just going to be a Judge. I'm going to rod back some stuff. And then it's going to fast charge with Raichu. But yeah, that's completely fine by us. We've been judged into Irida, so we should have no issues closing the game here. We get cross switches, that really doesn't matter. We have game in just so many ways at this stage. Just going to make sure with the search with the vessel, and yeah, we can grab the Superior with good old. We are truly BMing right now. I'm bringing up the Zapdos as well. We have game in so many ways. Just getting maximum bonuses out, just with damage. Yeah, trolling after a pretty dicey start for us, honestly. With that Palkia lead, that's so bad for us. Into a massive Raichu KO. Yeah, things were looking pretty rough, but it felt like the opponent possibly overextended a little bit that game. But we did well on, not quite fumes, but really not a great start, which is cool to see. Looks like we're up against Roaring Moon. This is another deck that gained popularity from Kyoto. Their results. And they're going to start with a VIP. They have Squawk Greninja, so I imagine a few actions going down on their first turn here. Looks like I'm going to be going for like PokéStop worker plays, honestly. As we see an early Squawk and Seize. Does get rid of a Sada and a Luminion, but nothing too painful. Nest Ball for more Peko, and then just a pass. More Ball Search is solid. I can go for Greninja draw now as well, if I want to start there. I'm actually going to go Worker first. Work it into the PokéStop makes sense, so I can just retain that on the board. I am going to go for the Palkia aggressively here. We do have the Irida as well, so I can take Greninja and Palkia as like a mini package here. And actually set up the board really nicely. Oh, sorry, yeah, we don't have Irida to play, obviously. But we do PokéStop into VIP, so our hand just opens up a ton now. Maybe some thoughts about whether or not to go for a Manaphy in the mix there, but I end up filling the board with Feebas instead and just pass things over here, hoping that the opponents can't get a big Sada play off with Water Energy Switch combos when they don't have Squawk and such. So we do end up seeing just a Sada for 1 Dark into the Vessel for some more. Now they can Greninja draw as well. Yeah, they're just going to do a chain of Vessels here. But if they just have to come in with a 1 prize, honestly, it's looking like a pretty good spot for us. If they do just go for a more Peko prize, we can just come in with Palkia. You see Dark Patch to Roaring Moon, though, so they're just going to chill. By the looks of things, yeah, they are just chilling, which is actually really good for our hand because we're holding Cross Switcher for Palkia, and the boards are full, so I'm hitting 260. I can deal with the toolless Roaring Moon whilst also getting some extra draws in here. And I can even develop the Irida, which is so nice as well. We're going for Milotic to protect the hand a little bit more, as well as an Ultra Ball so I can get more Gholdengo into the mix just for more draw power. Looking really good at this stage, honestly. I already have 2 water in the discard from double concealed cards, so I can Ultra Ball, get that last bit of value from Star Portal out if I want to. Oh, we already have 3 in there. Okay. I am going to put an energy on to Greninja, mostly as a pivot more than anything else. I'm also just going to eventually go for the Gholdengo play. I think I actually prefer getting rid of one of the PokéStops there, because it's pretty possible that our opponent also plays PokéStops. We are just going to slam our stop, and then we're going to swing for the 260. Really solid. The best part is we're doing it with a Pokemon with such high hit points that it's likely the opponent has to Frenzy Gouge here. And if they Frenzy Gouge, then they're reducing their hit points down so much that it's an easy Gholdengo response. We have Milotic once again developed. If there's going to be any hand disruptors, we no longer have to be concerned by that. And they have so many multi-prizes on the board, it should be a pretty easy route for us to just cycle through the remainder of the deck now with coin bonus and concealed cards to basically just dig towards our final boss. If that's even required, the opponent may just need to keep the pressure on with their own multi-prizes. And we're holding on to 4 superior energy retrievals, so that should be enough. As we do see the frenzy gouging, I think it is, in this case, going to be as simple as we got the first 2 prize KO, and we're not going to let up on the pressure now. We're able to get another Gholdengo in the mix. I get the Letter of Encouragement value, which is solid. Yeah, we're just in a phenomenal position now, to be honest with you. Getting right down to the bottom of the deck. With stops now, we're really not concerned about what we're milling. We know we have our last Cross Switcher in deck, so I was happy enough to not be concerned about milling boss, I believe. So we can keep drawing. Gonna Rod back in the extra gimme. And look to get that as well, just for even more Gholdengo. Really just cycling as much as possible here. And we can just make it rain. Only need 2, such a cheap hit into the Roaring Moon. Oh, we actually did prize a Cross Switcher, so maybe it was risky of me to go for that final PokéStop on that turn. I'm not really seeing what they could have done, like, spread play-wise. Could they have made their map much better? Maybe if they had, like, Water Energy Greninja stuff, they could have gone, like, discuss Milotic, then go for 2 hits of Greninja over 2 turns. That would have been the only thing that would have been our undoing. But I could have just attached my way out of Milotic anyway. Maybe a little bit lucky to get a Cross Switcher from prizes there, when I didn't really need to go crazy with PokéStops, to be honest. Regardless, let's get into our next game. And we're up against Rapid Strike. This is also like an okay matchup. We are playing the 70 hit point Gimmighouls for this reason, essentially. This and Valiant, so that we can actually get our dudes into play. And obviously we do have 1-hit KO potential, so that is a big reason why we go for these 2 retreat gimmies. We have a PokéStop, which isn't ideal. It does get some water in the discard pile, but yeah, not great. I much prefer getting waters in the bin early. I'm considering an Ultra Ball for a gimme here. I'm also considering attaching. If I attach, it means I no longer have the guaranteed Greninja play, but I can always superior them back. So I don't mind the attachment here too much. Oh, they have a really rough PokéStop of their own, actually. They lose their Squawk ability, so their push potential is really diminished now, straight away. Oh, have they got a... Okay, so they have Forest, so they aren't completely bricking. They can go for a supporter here. Or Battle VIP Pass if they have a supporter. That's the alternative. They're going to grab Intel and Remoraid, and they're just going to actually Clara back the Squawk ability. See another tower, and then we see the Squawk and Seize. So they can try and protect their Inteleon here if they want to. If they have access to another Remoraid, possibly. I'm just going to give up the Squawk. That's fine by me. It means we can again take a really early 2-prize KO. They also haven't threatened early Urshifu, which is also helpful for us. I'm just going to go PokéStop Worker. I have Ultra Ball for Palkia if I really need to. I can Superior as well, looking for more Dig with Greninja here. Can always Ultra Ball away, Water once again, or whatever. Oh, we do hit Palkia naturally. And that's our second Water that I can pitch. So we can get a swing in with Palkia this turn. For some prizes, actually. Sometimes you just subspace well. We've used it a few times, actually, in our last few games of just, like, tempo good. Tempo Palk is really, really solid. It's like a mini tempo package this deck gets to play whilst you're building towards your Gimmighoul army. And it keeps your draw power in the back quite nicely. It's a really big chunk of hit points as well, so... As we work towards our one-shots, the Palkia really helps us get there. The opponent is able to develop Intel VMAX now. And they're going to Ultra Ball. Get some more into play, I would imagine. Rapid and Rope having to go for second VMAX here. We see some double gunners come down onto our Gimmighoul. And the Karina's for 5. Looking pretty solid. Just going to see the Gmax Spiral for 140. Honestly, I think Boss Octillery is looking really strong. It really limits a lot of their plays. And if I can just evolve up more Gholdengo and build a hand, I'm going to be in such good shape, I think. Yeah, this is just looking really solid, to be honest with you. Just going to burn the heavy. And yeah, just get through Octillery, really hurt their potential to do all their combo wonky stuff. And say that they don't have enough of a board to deal with our Gholdengo, where we're still just one knockout away on one of these VMAXs. They do have Iono naturally in hand, which is big for them, but we draw into 3 supporter cards. But nonetheless, I have more draws from coin bonus anyway after this turn. We do just see the Spiral, so they go down to 2 prize cards. That does put 2 water in the discard pile for us, and I'll be able to possibly put more in there if I retreat this Gholdengo. That's why I put 2 onto it, so that I had a retreat option. That's 4 in the discard pile. We're at 4, 5, 6, 7. Gonna get another coin bonus in. That should be game, actually. We drew our third... Oh, no, it's not game, because from Irida, I would be 1 short, because I have to attach as well. Letter of Encouragement also isn't game, because I don't have enough energy in the deck. But the opponent concedes anyway, because they see what's happening. They still had 4 prizes to take, and no easy prize map whatsoever. So I could just set up 2-shot pretty easily, and they had no engine either, so didn't have to overextend there. Probably would have just punched it for like 100 damage or something. Nothing too crazy, and then just kept a ton of the resources for later. But yeah, that was Gholdengo. Pleasantly surprised, honestly, with it. I think it's not really a Mimi deck at all. It's pretty strong. Not necessarily like the most consistent archetype, and is still reliant on good early starts. but you can piece a lot together, and the Milotic does give you some good coverage. Let me know your thoughts on the deck down below, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Cheers.